Hey everyone, this is Gary with Easy Go Junk Removal, and tonight I have Louis Vandervalk joining me, and we're going to talk some things about SEO and some other things that we can get into that he specializes in. And I just want to welcome you, Louis, and maybe give us a little info on some personal stuff and what you're all about.
Appreciate it, Gary. Appreciate you having me on here. Looking forward to chatting. So I'm Lewis. I guess we'll start back at the beginnings. Grew up on a farm. Did construction all through high school in the summers and even in the school year. Waited, went right into construction. Carried on with that. So I was doing everything from like pool installs to fence building to roofing to framing to pouring yards and yards of concrete. So yeah, I loved it. I would brag to my friends that I got paid to work out and they had to buy a gym membership. So I loved it, enjoyed it a lot, but realized that, hey, if I want to, eventually have a family, I need some sort of a career. At least that's what I thought, right? And so I started looking at different options. Paramedic was one that popped up, but my cousin, pointed me in the direction of, getting a degree. So he had gone to university first in his family. I was the first in my family too. And he was like, you should do mechanical engineering. You like fixing things, you like math and science, go for it. So I applied, got in, got my degree, got married in the middle of there. We had a kid that was born, our first kid was born right after I graduated. So I started as a mature student. So it was like kind of packing a whole bunch of life. Mature student in the sense like I was 4 or 5 years older than most of the freshmen that were coming in because I'd been doing construction. But we packed a lot into those 4 or 5 years, university degree, getting married, all of that. And then soon after that, so our son was born in June. I graduated May of 2019. And August of 2019, I started looking for like some different ways to make additional income. So I was doing an engineering role at the time that I've been doing for the last 4 years, all through university, paying for my degree. And I was like, if I'm going to, we wanted 4 kids at the time. We've got 4 kids now. And I said, if
Wow.
I'm going to be able to support that, I'm going to need some more income. They're going to be hungry monsters. I'm 6'8", and they're well on track for that.
But how's the weather up there, by the way?
It's great. It's great. I made this joke on the comment the other day that I try not to look down on people intentionally, but it just
Yes.
happens.
What is that shadow?
Yeah, exactly. So I started looking for some different ways to make income and found this course for basically combining, what I knew, the contracting industry, with digital marketing. So I dove in. My first sale was convincing Alyssa to take the money we had saved for a bathroom reno and put it into this course. I dove in August 1st, and then I actually got laid off August 21st. So like 20 days later, I got laid off, went pretty hardcore into Blue Crocus, ended up getting a kind of a gap job. So it held me over for another year. I worked at a startup, and then I went full-time into Blue Crocus. I've been doing that since.
That's awesome.
2021. Yeah. So it's been a wild ride. 4 kids in that time, starting a business. And then we started a junk removal business in 2021 as well. So we definitely haven't been twiddling our thumbs around here.
So what's your junk business called?
So it's Integrity Junk Removal here locally. So I was involved in it really heavily for about a year and a half. And then Ryan, who was the co-founder with me, he basically was helping me in the agency as well. So we both looked at each other and said, Ryan, you love the field stuff. I know I'm not going to, give up the agency. We need to focus on, we need to get focused here. So I moved back to full-time in the agency. He took the junk removal business and left the agency, and we kept rocking there. I wasn't involved after about a year and a half. Obviously, we stay in touch. He's local here. We still hang out and chat. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. We got it up to like a K per month in the first year. It got up to like 100K per month at a couple different times. But now it's
Well,
just
that's
kind of
kind of like
cruising
going to
along.
Mecca as far as the junk removal, because that's where it's all started from Scudamore, who
Yeah,
is from
we're on
Canada.
the complete opposite side of the country. So
Yeah,
he's in
but it's
Vancouver.
still,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, it was fun, and so that's what kind of catapulted us into the junk removal space. Was I came into the junk removal groups as a curious onlooker, asking the questions. How do you market? What are all the different things you do? Obviously, I brought my SEO and basic marketing stuff, but what are the unique things that people were doing? And then we had to dive into, does radio make sense for us? Do Facebook ads make sense for us? Do Google ads make sense for us in our market? Getting PR, doing backlinking, setting up a website, all of that stuff. And so it's very different, I think, looking at it through the lens of someone who had to start the business and make all those decisions than someone who's just like, oh, yeah, do all these things. But the business owner still has to make those decisions. So it was fun.
And spend the capital.
Yeah, you got to look at your capital and how much you want to spend. Every marketing agency just wants to be like, oh yeah, just pay us thousands of dollars a month and everything will be a honky dory. But it was it was a really cool experience doing that, and then started giving back some of the things that I had learned through the process. And junk removal is now our biggest niche. So we work in home service, but junk removal is 75% of our clientele is junk removal.
Very cool. So, Lewis, is SEO dead?
Everybody wants to tell you it is. It is not dead. SEO is not dead. It is still well and thriving. It's morphing. It's morphing, and what you could do 10 years ago to rank is different than what you could do 5 years ago, and it's different than what you have to do now. The underlying principle is still the same, though. Google wants people to stay on their platform. Google's selfish. Google wants to make money. And so ultimately, they're trying to serve up the best results for people who are searching for what they're looking for. And so if you can help Google understand that you are the best result for what someone is searching for, then that's how you win. It could be through backlinking, could be through building up your authority, through brand, awareness on social media. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but SEO 100% is not dead. There's lots of bad people out there doing it poorly. And so, it's dead for them, but it's certainly not dead.
So what I mean though, okay, so mapping seems to be the rule. So how does the SEO either overcome the mapping, because that's a location, it's like real estate, right? Location, location, location. So how does SEO help? For instance, I'm 20 miles away from my biggest area of possible work. There's a 550,000 person city sitting 20 miles away that I don't seem to always be able to crack. I get it, but I don't get it. And so that mapping is what people are calling. So how does because I'm sitting number 4 regularly, sometimes 3 as far as the website goes, but that mapping is ruling the world. So how does that all work and how does it integrate?
So just to clarify, you're talking about like the Google My Business profiles.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
when
So
you type in, for instance, I'm out of Tucson area. If you type in junk removal Tucson, Arizona, I'm gonna be lucky if I'm on the first page on the maps. Now, as you scroll down, there I am. My SEO is working, but the mapping changes. So how does that integrate as far as working or not working?
yeah, so the Google Business Profile and your website are separate entities, but they do relate. So what you do on your website does affect your business profile. What you do on your business profile doesn't affect the website as much. So the way you structure your website, the way you make it match the hours, the phone number, the business name, all of that can affect how your business profile ranks. So the pages that you have do you have pages for every single service that you mentioned that you do on your business profile? That can affect it. One thing that I don't know if I've sent this to you, Gary. I can send it to you after, and anybody listening. But I put together a video on how you can basically upload a picture from every job that you do. So you can go into Maps. You can basically just search for your business. And you can upload a photo from your phone, and you can upload it to your business profile and just say, "Hey, finished up a piano removal for Mrs. Smith, or we just cleaned out the attic for Mr. and Mrs. Jones." And if you can do that from every job, that's activity on your listing. It's also like geotagged photos that are being put up, and you're doing the little caption with what you did, where you did it, how you did it, were they happy, etc.
Is that
That's
like under the photos or are we talking different?
yeah. So you're putting it under the photos. You're not making posts. You're actually uploading photos to the listing.
So, because I think it was Ronnie Knuckles I was listening to, and he was saying don't do it every day because that doesn't allow Google to, I guess, from lack of a better word, refresh.
Yep.
I don't know.
So I think Ronnie was talking about posts. I thought I had a couple of people mention to it that, and I actually haven't caught up with him about that. But I believe he was talking about posts.
Okay. All right.
And the difference being is like you can upload photos from the jobs. Posts, yeah, if you can do once a day. And then I think he talks about doing a gap for a few days so Google can catch up and then
So you
retooling
mean
that.
like updates, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh,
Updates,
go
posts,
ahead.
same thing.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to clarify that.
No, good clarification. So the photos are excellent that way. Reviews, if you can get reviews from out in those different areas too, that's going to help. If you can, have location pages on your website that reflect those areas as well. That can sometimes help extend that as well.
So it's interesting because I just got a call. It was, one of those cold calls that you love to get.
Yeah.
And this guy says, "Hey, we do X, Y, and Z. And one of the things that we do is we take your photos and we backload them into Google, and we can get you much more traffic by doing this." And I don't know, it almost sounded like black hat kind of stuff, but I don't know if it's legit. He says they can get right into the Google thing and make things happen. Have you heard of that?
I mean, I'd have to hear exactly what they were saying and probably ask some questions. A few different ways my mind's going with what they might be doing. They might be just taking the photos and putting them on different sites on the internet, linking back to your website and business profile, which is a tactic. I wouldn't say it's black hat. It's not like the most natural looking thing for sure for Google to see, but there's nothing, inherently negative about it, sharing
Okay,
that out. So I'm guessing that's probably what they were talking about.
that's awesome. So, how does that integrate? Which is more important, SEO, reviews, or location?
For a Google business profile, your location is kind of the starting foundation. So even if you have an address visible, people can visit your shop or whatever, or if you have just a service area business, whatever the address is that you verify your business profile at is going to be kind of the epicenter of where you're going to be able to rank out from. And
Okay.
in most cases, it's like 15 to 15 competitive areas. Sometimes you can go up to 20, 25 in low competition areas. 100 miles is like the max I've seen, but that's like super, super rare.
North
But
Dakota.
yeah, but location is the most important. Reviews are crazy important, and we're going to get into talking a little bit about the debacle that happened last week. But reviews are very important, and then replying to those reviews as soon as they come in, that's important as well. And then taking those reviews and putting them on your website. So a lot of people have like a widget that pulls in reviews from their business profile, which is awesome. We can also take those reviews, share them out on Facebook. Say, hey, here's another awesome review we got. You can go check out more reviews by checking the link in our in the comments, and then you can put the link to your business profile or the link to your website. Or you can take those reviews, screenshot them, put them on your website as like standalone images in a blog or on a service page. Especially if it's like a location service page or a specific service that you offered and the review is about that service.
So what I've been trying to do, and it's been kind of hit and miss, but tell me what you think of this. I think I heard it somewhere through the grapevine, so I didn't come up with this, but I thought it was kind of a great idea. Is when I ask for my reviews, I send a picture and said, "Hey, if you can give me a positive review and load this up with it, it would be very appreciative." I'm not sure how Junk King does it, but almost every one
Reviews,
of
yeah.
their reviews has a picture that is, and I'm going, huh, how is that possible? And of course, they're the kings, the two big franchises are the kings of reviews, right?
So I can talk about that. And we can kind of morph into the reviews that were lost last week as well. But that's a really, really good thing to do, Gary. I would
Okay.
recommend everybody do that. I would recommend that you keep pushing that. If you can, for those listening, basically, if you can take a picture of the job, maybe it's a before and after, maybe you make it pretty for them quickly on an app on your phone, and then just text it to them when you text them the review link. Say, hey, here's a link, here's a picture as well. If you wouldn't mind, just attaching that to the review. The odds of that review getting taken down go way down if it's got a picture, because what Google's looking at. Are you good if we kind of morph into the review
Yeah,
debacle?
let's before we do that, because I want you
Yep.
to I want that information. I just want to give you kudos because we were playing Chicken Little last week and the sky was falling down because I'm number 3 in this county for reviews. In 4 years, that's the position that I put myself in. And all of a sudden, I'm down like 120 reviews,
Just disappearing.
and I'm like, Lewis, And by the way, you are not my SEO guy, but I consider yourself, yourself a wonderful connection. You are always very kind. Number one, number two, you seem to have just a great spirit for helping people and I don't know how you do it, but there is a genuine a human quality to Louis Vanderbilt that I get on a when we're interacting. And so I
Appreciate that.
contacted you. Yeah, well, I appreciate you more than you know. And so, but you kept your cool, and you seem to have while everybody was running around with their heads cut off because, it's the apocalypse of, the reviews, it's, you were saying, no, I think it's a glitch. And how did you know that? What was your method there?
My inside information. Well, I think because it happened Thursday morning, and I started getting clients reaching out right away. And so I started looking into what's going on. I started sending out. I have like a blog post I did in 23 where you can go on and you can ask for reviews to be reinstated that were lost, or maybe a customer sent the review, told you that they sent the review and it didn't come through. Great resource for anybody who is needing that resource. And so I started sending that out to people. And then I think it was Thursday night or Friday morning, there were some people that were saying, hey, I actually counted my reviews and they're still there, but the counter's off. And so, I'm friends with on Facebook and in a lot of SEO groups. So I really tried to stay on top of it because I think I got like 100 messages, from different people in that first day.
I was one of them.
Yeah, and I love. I mean, going back to your point, like I really enjoy helping people. It's very confusing. I tell people that I'm if I can be your guide in the internet jungle, then that's mission accomplished because it is confusing and you've got a million hats to wear as a business owner. And when things go wrong on the internet, it feels like there's nothing you can do. And so yeah, so I just stayed on top of it, and so we just tried to keep people updated with what was happening, where things were going, and try to just keep your head up. There's things we can't do or can't control. There's always things that we can do, things that we can control, but there's some things that in business we just can't control.
Right. And Google is one of those because it's not like you can call them and say, "Hey, where's my they just don't do that." It's kind of like talking to Amazon, not very likely.
Yeah. So I think what happened, well, what kind of came out is Google actually did say, hey, there is a glitch. I think that was Friday evening or Saturday morning. They came out, said there is a glitch. It might have been early the next week. I'm not sure. But they basically said the counter was wrong. And a lot of people have had their reviews come back. There's still some people with them missing. And so in about a week's time, I'll probably recommend our clients just go through and do that refresh to try and pull any reviews that they were missing back. But yeah, it's very interesting. Google, this was a counter issue, but some people are seeing reviews drop off, and that is something that's kind of been consistent since 2023. They've started using AI to look at is a review real, is it from a real account, and if Granny Smith down the road leaves you a review and she's never left a review before, it's the first review on that Google account, that can sometimes get flagged and taken down. Google's looking at that and be like, could be a spammer, right? Could be someone who just set up a Google email and just for the sake of selling reviews or whatever. So if you can get the picture, circling back to pictures, if you can get Granny Smith to attach a picture to it, the odds of that sticking are much higher because there's geotagging on the picture that Google can see. There's just more things in there that make it seem less spammy
Right.
and can help tell the AI that this is actually a real thing.
It's quite bothersome though, because
It
all
is.
the not just the losing of the reviews, but you touched on something that is even more bothersome because I've got as of today 710 reviews, and that is
Congratulations, by
at
the
the
way.
end. Yeah, and it's just at the end of this month we'll have our fourth year done, and so we're really proud of that. But I can promise you that review sellers are out there, and it doesn't seem like Amazon has any grip on taking care of them, but they are really busy about Grandma Smith.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? And so one or two reviews, like I'm buying one or two reviews, but I think last year I lost over 40 legit,
Yep.
it's more than that,
I mean, all of
legit
your reviews have
reviews.
been legit. So any reviews you lose, that's a
Yeah.
legit review gone down the drain.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it's very frustrating because I get like a daily bombardment of, "Hey, we can guarantee you 100 reviews." And I don't want them that way myself.
Yeah.
One of the
I
reasons
wouldn't
my
recommend anybody do that. I think it's yeah, I wouldn't recommend anybody do that. I come from the like when I first got into digital marketing, I was actually building sites that I owned, setting up Google businesses in an area that I owned, and renting out the leads to people. And so I come from that space where I've seen a lot of agency owners do that. To do that, we work with brands now, and I'm working directly on their assets. But I'm very familiar with that world. I never kind of got into that side of it with the buying reviews, but that's why I'm so comfortable understanding, kind of both sides of the coin because I'm familiar with people that are doing that, and it really sucks for business owners that are putting in their blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen.
It does, because one of the things that I get jobs with is, oh my God, I've read your reviews. I don't want to do business with anybody else because they go through it. Because this reviews, Google likes them for a certain reason. And the customers like them because it means something. I mean, the business owner likes them because it means something to Google. But for me personally, it's my customer's way of talking to my next customer and telling them what kind of service, what kind of people, what kind of company
It's
Easy
a
Go
vote of
Junk
confidence
Removal is.
for you as a business.
Absolutely. When somebody turns around and says, "Hey, I want to do business with you because of your reviews," it just, it makes you feel like you're doing something besides just hauling crap all day.
Yeah,
You're
I
actually interacting
recommend.
with people.
Yeah, we do this in Blue Crocus, and I recommend people do this for their business as well. So, like every review that comes in, screenshot that, put it in a Google Drive folder somewhere. You can use this for multiple reasons, but you can also go back and use it if you're trying to reinstate reviews and say, "Hey, I have this screenshot. It's no longer there. Where'd it go?" But on the flip side and the positive side of things that you can control, you can now take those reviews, you can put them on your website, you can put them on social media, you can make videos where the review is kind of on the screen and you're talking about it or reading it out. Like you said, people see those and people see other people using your business and they say, I'm a person. I need that service. Why wouldn't I go to EasyGo? So
Right.
there's different ways you can leverage those assets as well as kind of turn it around and use it as an accountability tool for Google.
Yeah. So where do you think SEO is going?
SEO is really going to be interesting this year. It's already interesting. SEO is becoming, search engine optimization is becoming AI optimization, AI engine optimization. And so everything we do on our website needs to be in a form that AI can read it. Everything you do on your Google business profile, your social media, the AI engines in Google, Bing, etc., Perplexity, ChatGPT, they're going out and they're reading the information that's on your website, on your business profile, on your Facebook page, on your Instagram. And Google's already doing that, but now it's becoming coming back in the form of a result that people can see. So if I look for best drunk removal service in Tucson, there's going to probably be 3 or 4 companies that are listed there in the even above the Google ads and even above the Google Maps now. So if you can get in that spot, that's kind of the holy grail of where you want to be looking at.
So how are you talking to him? Are you talking to him like a human being, or is there a protocol? Are you talking down? Or are you talking up? What is I
Just got
mean,
to say
how
please
how
and thank you.
smart is AI?
So we're working on a few things. It's very smart. I would say even it just does everything consistently and it just goes everywhere all the time. It never sleeps. So it's just always out there crawling. So
It's funny you say that because I used to be an Amazon seller, and I absolutely loved it because my store was open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And half the time I wasn't even aware of it. And I was
yeah,
selling stuff all over. And it
yeah.
was like, it never sleeps.
What was the coolest thing you sold?
I didn't sell cool stuff. So
You don't have to talk about it if it wasn't cool.
actually I had the ability to sell everything but drugs.
Mm,
I was grandfathered in. I make t-shirts on Amazon. I mean, and
very cool.
then Amazon is famous for eating their own, which is going to be interesting with Google because what used to be a 90% market is no longer 90%. I think they're just above 50% now, aren't they?
For
On the
market share on
internet?
search engines,
Yeah.
depends who you get the data from. I would say anywhere from 60 to 85,
Yeah.
depending on where you get the data from. Yeah.
Quite a bit less than what they were at one time, though.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like I've always kind of compared the two, and I'm like going, I wonder where this is going because Apple is going to start flexing if they haven't already. They're using Yelp now, right? But they're going to start using their own review system. And once they do that, everything that Apple touches, I mean, you're on an Apple, I'm on an Apple, my phone is an Apple.
It's their
It's the number
ecosystem.
one company in the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. To your point about AI, I just want to finish that up so we don't leave people hanging and wondering how do you talk to it? Use please and thank you. You don't want the robots turning against you. That's a little tongue in cheek, but
Skynet.
yeah. But we're working on a few things. We're going to be rolling it out for our clients in about a month. But ultimately, even on your website, you can make sure that the data is there. It talks about what you do, where you do it. You've got, mentions on the internet. You've got your reviews showing on your website. You've got, customer stories showing on your website, different things that, you'd want to be doing for Google anyway. It's going to use similar decision making when it's pulling up that data. If you can get
Right.
press releases in your local area, the more brand recognition you can get, the better it's going to be for you going forward.
It's all about branding, isn't it?
It really, at the end of the day, yes. A lot of people think about logos and stuff when we say branding, but branding in the sense of like how many places can you show up on the internet? How many places can you get mentioned on the internet? How many podcasts can you jump on as a business owner? Linking back to your website. How many websites can you get linking back to you? All of that comes into play, especially with the data that AI is looking at to kind of sort through who should be the top three that they show.
Yeah, so that's interesting because I used to have a radio show for about 8 years out of Gainesville, Florida, and they used a when you're selling ads, etc. They use a acronym that is called TOMA, top of mind awareness, and it's really the same thing with what you're talking about, not only in people's minds but in, I guess, AI and Google's bots and everything. You want to be top of mind aware, people looking for blue crocus, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you want other people to be talking about blue crocus or easy go junk removal, not just
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah, and so word of mouth is still king.
Word of mouth is
That's
still king. And then if you can translate that into digital word of mouth, different people featuring your business, different events that you're organizing and getting featured, like
yeah.
that all comes to play.
And that's where you step in and do your magic, because you're like the Wizard of Oz. If you think about it, everybody thinks, look at it, look at the Emerald City and whoa, everything's magical. And it's really comes down to Lewis behind a curtain, pulling levers and making things happen.
Stirring the magic stew.
That's it. So with that, how do you tie, because we're all on Facebook. So how do you tie this Google thing and these what you call, wallflowers at the moment, Bing and Apple, all that, all those other smaller browsers, I guess. I don't, I lack the intelligence for all this stuff. But, and then you've got this other mammoth thing called Facebook. How does that all tie in? And do Facebook ads work? Do Facebook boost work? And how do you tie it all in? Because I'm sure that they're all talking, as far as in the digital world, they're all talking to each other.
Google's certainly paying attention to everything. Yes. To your first point about, the wallflowers. So we track for our SEO clients, we track the sources of each lead, where they come from. Is it your business profile? Is it your website? What page is it on your website? But we also track which search engine it comes from. So the interesting thing is Bing and DuckDuckGo actually show up a fair amount. And I think it's because the people that have money, we know that our ideal client in junk removal is the older generation, women, married typically, not only the older generation, but like they typically, have more stuff that they need help moving or cleaning out, right? And so they're on these browsers that maybe their kids said, hey, if you want to, protect yourself, go on DuckDuckGo and stuff like that. So Bing and DuckDuckGo definitely are becoming players. Bing has Bing Places, which is like the equivalent of Google My Business. You can actually sync the data between the two, which is interesting. It's kind of like a backdoor sync that you can do, which is, Microsoft and Google are supposed to be enemies, right? But you're able to connect them.
So is Microsoft and Apple, but you know what?
Yeah. Apple and Samsung phones have the same parts built in the same factories, just branded a little bit differently.
It's just a different story.
Yeah, you kind of just have to look at it at that way. But Bing has Google's, Google has Google Search Console. You can index your pages, make sure that everything's showing up. Bing has Bing Webmaster Tools. So you
So
definitely want to be.
does it wind up being like a backlink type of thing, or how does that work?
It's a separate search engine, but it's got similar tools to what Google has. Slightly less traffic. Of course, I say slightly less. It has way less traffic overall than Google has, but there's a surprising number of people. Again, I mentioned older people, and I'm not digging at older people, just it's a demographic that when you get your computer,
I'm an older person. You're not offending me.
when you get your computer, typically like a PC, Internet Explorer is the thing that the default browser that you use, or search browser, I think is the name. And then the search engine inside of that is Bing often. And
Gotcha.
so, people just go on and they use it. So it is something to be looking at, making sure you're there. And then as far as advertising, we can hit Facebook first. I was just talking to a client today about boosting Facebook ads. There's two different kinds of Facebook ads. Well, there's many different kinds, but there's two different kinds. One where you like really set up a really targeted, split tested ad, etc. Typically an agency is going to do that. You as a user though can go in and boost posts. Agencies are going to poo-poo it, but there is still value to it. What I did when we started Integrity and what clients have done, even up to this point, is if you're posting regularly, organically on your Facebook page, sharing it into community groups, etc., you're going to get a pretty good litmus test of which posts are getting organic traffic on their own. So at the end of every week, you can take the best performing post of that week, assuming you're posting at least 2 or 3 times a week. Ideally, I'd like to see at least 5 times a week, but you're going to take your best performing post and you're going to boost it for a couple, 3 weeks for $50 to $100. And then every week, you're going to go back through the posts you made for that week and look at which post is performing the best and boost it for 2 to 3 weeks for $50 to $100. So after the first week, you've got one ad boosted. After the second week, you've now got 2 that are running. After the third week, you've now got 3. And then you always have 3 in rotation. So people are always seeing a new ad. So it just automatically keeps things fresh. And you're just boosting, you're amplifying what's already working on your page. So for very little money, you can reach a new audience. You need to make sure that your location settings are set properly, so you're not just boosting it to the whole nation. But if you set it, locally or in a certain radius, typically, you can get really good reach, and you're going to see the traffic to your website increase. You might not directly see leads off that Facebook ad or that boosted post, but the traffic to your website, I consistently see people are going to check out what you're doing when they see your
So it's
ads.
interesting. I was on that. I think it was last night actually, and did it on the phone. And I stopped for two reasons. One, the phone is very limited as
Yes,
far as targeting areas, and two, if you have an Apple phone, they're going to charge you, and they want a piece of the pie. And it's
interesting. What do you mean?
oh they so I had a spend of about $300, and Apple wanted over $100. No kidding. So went to the
That's crazy.
desktop. Yeah, went to the
Maybe I'm
desktop.
just completely out of the loop, but that's crazy.
Well, it is crazy, and but there was right there. I should have screenshot it because it was just like I don't think so. So I went to the desktop and was monkeying around with that, and you can drop pins, and you can drop pins in locations, and then go. I want to be only 2 miles here. Boom, and then you can drop another pin here, and you can follow. And here's a tip for people. You can type in uh, where are the richest locations of Tucson or whatever town, and they will give you that area, and you want to hit that, and et cetera, et cetera. So you can build a snake if you wanted to. That kind of like the Carneros Valley that runs through 3 counties in California grows the best grapes. Well, you can do the same thing for your business and really attack those areas that are affluent, a little more affluent, and have a little more expenditure than other areas. And so you can do that on the laptop. You cannot do it on the phone. I tried. I was on it for hours.
The beauty of that is you can save that audience, and then you can pick that audience when you're setting it up on your phone later.
That's the other thing is you want to select because it will give you 18 to 65 every time. So you want to select which who you want that audience to be. You do not want 18-year-olds in the junk
No,
removal
I typically
business.
did. I think I typically did like 30 to 65 plus. Sometimes I would narrow it down, but I mean, here's a little bit different. We're like 100,000 population total, but I would leave it open to men and women. But you can look at what your stats are after you run it for a few weeks and say, hey, mostly women are seeing this and clicking on it. We'll just focus on women, so our money goes more specifically to the audience that we want it to go to.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about that because I put male and female on there, men and women. It's all right. So but I will be looking at that because I remember from radio days when you're selling ads and stuff, women as far as cars are the decision makers.
Hmm.
Unless it's a pickup truck, they're making the decision whether or not
Yeah,
it's a van, whether or not it's a sedan or a coupe, and what color. And it's not 100%, but as a majority, they are
that's
the ones who
interesting.
make those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you do suggest your clients use the Facebook world then?
I think that so Facebook is like a way to, Google ads are going to capture people that are already looking. Facebook boosting is a way to get an audience that hasn't ever seen you before or isn't necessarily wanting to buy from you right now. But if you can keep in front of them, then you're going to build up that brand recognition They're going to remember, if you're making memorable posts, and then they're going to remember you. It's actually interesting. So we talk about brand, we talk about boosting posts. There's a fellow I know he used to be in Florida, he's now in Utah, Christopher Scoville. He offers financing options for roofing companies and all home service companies. But he would go for a walk every morning with his dog, and he would walk and talk. He would do a live video on Facebook, and he's bald. And so it was really funny because someone came into one of the roofing groups and was like, I need financing. I know there's a bald guy that walks with his dog. I can't remember his name, but I need to talk to him. And everybody tagged Chris. But, speaking of that consistent touch, they didn't remember his name, but they remembered something unique about him and kind of his X factor. And they found him and they did business with him. So it's the same with
So
Facebook
his
ads.
reputation preceded him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And that's part of branding, by the way. That's why those reviews are so important. That's why the taste that you leave in people's mouths as far as business goes is so important. If you leave a bad taste with people, it's going to sink you with everybody they know. And you've just cut off a whole list. There's a guy in Texas that drives me nuts. I think I'd like him personally, but as far as the way he does business, he just talks to his customers like crap. And I'm like,
I watched you talking to him the other night. I laughed.
yes, you did. And it's like, I don't get it. But every time you do that, you are literally cauterizing an avenue of a fresh vein, and you're never gonna revive it. And that's just the way I do business. Now he does evidently very well, and more power to him. Like I said, I think I'd like him as a human being, but as business to business, I would never do that. I can't see the fruits of that just to be right, because I was always raised that the customer is right. And even if they're wrong, I'm going to make it right, because I don't want that vein.
Follow you around.
Yeah. You don't know when that vein turns into a mother lode of, just pure ore, that you're really looking for. Like the other day, I had a job that wound up being 2.5 full loads. It was a nice payday. And it came from 2 years ago when I hauled a television for $45.
That is awesome. That's awesome. It's actually interesting when you said that vein becoming a mother lode. I thought you were going the opposite direction, that, a vein of distrust or dis-ease
Right.
with the client becoming a mother lode of spilling out and, like a pus in a wound, right?
Yeah.
So it can
Yeah.
go both ways. You can you're building compound interest either way.
Yeah, exactly. And so why would you ever just stop it? In fact, that lady texted me today, and she's moving. Her husband is not doing well, and she just texted me again. She goes, "There's another load. Come and get it."
Wow.
All from a 45. You know, some people may poo-poo that and say that's $45, but it was next to a job, and I said, "Yeah, let me throw it on there. I got to make something." So I threw it on there, and 2 years later, we're talking thousands of dollars. It's
That's
a big
incredible.
difference. Yeah.
I get shivers when I hear these stories. It's so cool watching, that we think that, the $45 TV would be a loss, right? But everything is a seed. Some of my best clients have come from people that, you and I have chatted for a long time. And, that's been the relationship I've had with them. And eventually they're just like, all right, cool, let's work together.
So yeah, and a lot of that comes from, I always give these guys a salute, and that is Sonoma Strong, Matt and Joni, two of my favorite junk removal people on the planet. And they always say that I'd rather get them in line, I'd rather get them on the Sonoma Strong bus than lose them, because you don't know. And they've been in business longer than I have, as far as I've been working for myself for 35 years, but in junk removal, these guys are at their 7th or 8th year. And
Yep. Yeah, I think
I
they said on their
listen.
live the other night, it was 7 years almost to the day.
Yeah.
Maybe they got in their first truck or something, but yeah, 7 or 8 years. It's been cool. And they're good people in and out of business. It's fun to
And
watch.
they're humble, and they're, anyway. So they always say, don't you underestimate getting people in line for you, because you don't know. And I can tell you that I've had money and I've lost money. It comes and goes. Wealth comes and wealth can go if you're not, taking care of it, or something really bad has, and you blow a truck, I mean a motor or something, and you have to money comes, money goes. And it's the same thing with customers. Yeah, I can only afford $100. And then they get a new job and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, yeah, well, I'd like all of this stuff is taken out because I'm moving on up.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of people.
Kevin Hess
Yeah.
talks about this a lot too with 1-800.
Yes.
Their goal is to just make some money on the job, and then they're going to have them in their system, right? So they've paid typically an ad or SEO for the lead, so it costs them something. If they can cover some of the cost of the gas of the guys out there, et cetera, for the free quote, they're winning.
Well, they're going for the CFL, right? The customer for
Yeah,
life. And
yeah, and they've got a
this
system
is something
to
that a lot
dominate
of
that.
people don't weigh properly is if you can get a customer for life, that's like having a separate bank account. It's
Yeah,
wonderful. You know,
yeah.
it's passive
Well, I think the
income, really.
lifetime value is like 5K for 1-800 got junk clients.
Sweet, right? And then
Yeah,
think about how many they just look at their reviews. In our area, it's almost 2,000. The 1,700 for uh, Junk King. I
you're well
mean,
on your way. You're catching.
oh, we're for a mom and pop, for a guy who with one truck, I'm, I'm more than happy. I mean, for us, I'm 65 years old, Lewis, and the reality is I'm not 43, so I'm not building an empire. I'm not doing anything but making a valuable company that I can hand off that is turnkey and say, here you go, take it to the next level. I will be happy, and hopefully somebody does take it to the next level because I wouldn't want them to fail, number one. But especially, wouldn't that be fantastic to see? I
Yeah,
mean,
that'd
could
be
you
cool.
imagine
Cool to
being,
watch your baby blossom, right?
yeah, maybe that's what McDonald's thought when Croc bought them. Here, take the
Well,
keys.
I think if you really
Yeah,
want
I
to know
know
the
the
story,
story.
I think they
I think that was a Croc, but so I also want to talk about photos and updates and what you put in the information when you upload a photo. And then maybe some people aren't aware that which is now called a Google Business Profile, that you can upload photos, which is different than updates, which you also upload photos. And then on top of it, which I was talking to someone the other day, they were absolutely unaware that even on an update, they can take the photo and put stuff in the back of that photo and then send it. And then you make your update, which is a separate line of thought, or
yeah,
can be. So
yeah,
maybe talk your what you think of that and how you because that's an optimization, right?
it is. Yeah, well, it's showing that you're alive and well, and you're actively, consistently, you know, doing business essentially. So photos is what I talked about at the beginning. You want to be, if you can, do at least one a day. Even better, do one off of every job. So post a photo from every job. You just go into your Google Business profile, or sorry, into Google Maps. You search for your business, and then you can just upload a photo from your phone that you took. You can then caption it with, just cleaned out Mrs. Smith's garage in Tucson. So you've talked about what you did, you've talked about where you did it, you talked about, you've worked in the client's name as well to personalize it, and then you post it. That's
Would that
separate
help
from
you
an.
with your reviews, making them real?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that's separate. I mean, it could.
Because those bots are doing this, right? They're intertwined.
I mean, it could. It certainly could. I mean, the usernames of a Google account don't necessarily line up with their real names in real life, but I imagine there's some. It can't hurt. It can't hurt for sure. I don't know if there's a direct connection though.
Yeah.
And then updates are where you can post, events, you can post discounts, you can post offers, you can post something cool that the team did, you can post a review. I would aim for at least one of those a week. If you can do like 2 or 3 a week, even better. But keep it, interesting. Posting about a review, posting about an offer, spring cleanouts for XYZ% off, whatever the case may be. But both of those, you want to be in a consistent pattern. Photos, uploading from every job ideally, and posts, doing at least 2 or 3 a week.
So let's talk photos real quick. What's your line of thought with before and after pictures, one, and then just pictures of your equipment versus pictures of you? Because in my humble opinion, people want to know who they're doing business with. They want to see the people who they think is going to come out. If you look at Got Junk or Junk King and you go through their website, it's always this young person with a smiling face and holding an incredibly large TV or something. And it's got a huge smile on his face, and they just love what they're doing, you know? So what are your thoughts on all that? And what do you tell your clients? What do you tell your clients how to take pictures? How do you ask? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so if I was to rank the pictures in order, it would be pictures of you and your team, number one. People want to see people. They're going to see you anyway. People are like, oh, I look, I've got a face for radio. That's fine. That face for radio is showing up to their client's house anyway. So take the picture, post it of your team, of you with a client, a smiling picture of you with a client, whatever the case may be. That's going to be your most valuable asset, in my opinion. That's for your website, for your business profile, etc. The next would be your trucks. Your team loading the branded trucks. Your nice clean trucks rolling down the road into videos of them backing in or dumping or whatever the case may be. Team first, team and you, trucks with the team second, and then just pictures of the equipment. People don't realize that you've got a really valuable asset in your trucks. If you can get them branded, they're rolling billboards. You can also take really cool photos of them. Maybe on a frosty morning, you take a picture up from the wheel, and it's like, you can get like creative with the angles and kind of do some interesting things there that catch people's attention in a way that you wouldn't think of. And then before and afters are my all-time last thing for my opinion anyway of what you do.
It's boring.
It's boring. It's really exciting to us as junk removal owners because we just see dollar signs everywhere when we see it. And I've actually tested this in the groups when I was transitioning from integrity marketing and transitioning to okay, I'm going back to business owner. I'm really going to hit this hard and get some clients from the people that I've nurtured relationships with. I would post in the groups and I would test different photos. The pictures of junk always got more engagement in the groups. I would post pictures of me. I'd post pictures of my kids. I'd post pictures of the trucks. The trucks were pretty good, but the before and after photos, or like just pictures of junk, always got the most engagement from the people in the junk removal groups because they're junk removal people who are looking at this as money that they can quote. But for the average consumer, they don't care about your pictures of junk, and they just kind of like glaze over as they're scrolling through. But if there's a picture of like in a really aggressive transformation and you can highlight that well in the pictures, and it's not just like two pictures side by side, but what if you have like, this was like this before and now it's like this? That can be interesting. So you can do it in a way that's, valuable. You can have a few of those on your website, but if it's all just pictures of junk, okay, there's nothing really special about you as a company. There's nothing special about your brand or the people that you're showing off.
Right. So I put videos on my photos. They'll upload. Can you
On your
do a
business
video?
profile.
Yeah. Can you do a video on an update?
I don't believe you can do a video on an update. I don't believe you can. But yeah,
Okay.
you definitely can do videos on business profiles, and that's really valuable as well.
Yeah, because you can actually, and I'm almost, because you can't type in any information, no phone number, no, you'll get flagged, right?
Yes.
But
yeah, that is something you grazed over that, but do not type in your phone number or your website. You can actually really de-rank your Google business profile. That's a spammy tactic.
and if you do it a lot, you can actually get
suspended.
decommissioned.
Yeah, decommissioned is a nice way of saying that for sure.
Yeah, you're out of here.
Yeah.
And you don't want that because for everybody out there, man, Google is taking this stuff serious. There are people who are losing their accounts daily, and some of it isn't for anything than I didn't know better.
Yeah, it's not necessarily malicious. But, in most cases it's not. But Google's flagging things that they see as malicious habits by people who are spamming the industry.
Right. Is there such thing as too much posting as far as Google for
I
you?
don't think so. Not if it's like related to actual jobs that you're doing. If you keep it related to stuff that you're doing, if you're putting 100 photos up a day, and you're just like editing a bunch of photos and doing stock photos, I wouldn't recommend stock photos, by the way. But like,
especially, let me back that up a second. Stock photos, when you're using, unless it's public domain, that's a good way to get shut down. Because if you're stealing somebody's stuff, Google knows this because guess what? All those photos are tagged in one way or another.
Yeah.
Because I make t-shirts, right? And so one of the things that I do is, let's say I hire somebody from the Philippines or for India and they do a piece of art. Well, they're famous for stealing. Well, I have programs that will hunt it down and kill it before it goes out on my shirt because Amazon has even bigger monsters, and they will take your whole shirt away, because I have a separate Amazon account for just my t-shirts, and it's like you don't want to steal anybody's stuff, and so you want to really be careful. And it's the same thing with Google. You put somebody else's work up there, and you're going to get nailed.
Yeah, 100%.
So let me ask you that. So you don't believe there's too many photos?
Not if it's organically off the stuff you're doing. No.
Okay. So how about the location of photos? Let's say you're rarely in Tucson or not as much. Would it be apropos for me? And you can put this at any other location in the country in Canada. And that is, would it be apropos to take a lot of photos and bank some of those so I can thaw my appearance in Tucson?
I probably would. Yeah. Kind of make yourself look a little bit bigger there. If you've got data on your phone when you're taking the pictures, odds are you've got location data in those photos. So they're going to have the similar location data. So don't, go telling Google that it's a whole bunch of different jobs for a whole bunch of different people. I don't know whether they're looking at that directly, but they're going to catch on eventually, because they're going to see they all have this exact same Latin longitude on them. But yeah, I would certainly do that too, as a way to,
Well, I have
you know,
driven around the corner and down the street, and then turned left and right and left, and opened my doors and stood there and took pictures
I love it. Oh, of your truck. Yeah, that's a great idea, because that's a
with me
very
in them,
different,
like this.
that's a
Hey,
different location. Yeah,
absolutely. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be Mr. Black Hat, but I also am
I think
very
that's a creative
aggressive
strategy.
because, I'd like a piece of that pie. I don't need to be Mr. Everything there. I mean, if anybody was going to be Mr. Everything there, it would have been got junk to have 8 trucks, and I'm still making a living.
There's lots for
So
everybody.
yeah, there's plenty. And what I'm trying to do anyway is, because of branding, I'm trying to create a whole different pie, and it's called Easy Go. And that's where I'm focused at. I'm not focused on junk removal like this. Actually focused on Easy Go as a company.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add that you might want to just add to our conversation?
I think if there was anything, it would be two things. Keep in mind, again, that Google ultimately, no matter what tactics have worked over the last 10, 20 years, the things that have always worked are the things that have kept customers front and center in, the user experience with Google. How your website works, the speed of it, whether it's mobile responsive, what you're talking about, are you answering actual questions and not just keyword stuffing your content? All of that has remained relevant, and Google has cracked down on, people outside the lines at various times and various stages. So just keep your customers front of mind. And then the other thing would be use video. Get on video, get uncomfortable being on video, and keep doing it. Alex Hormozy says everybody has 100 bad videos in them. I think that's accurate. If you look at like my first few podcasts, I was nervous as heck, and it was a mess. But I just kept going, and so now I'm much more comfortable speaking on video, on camera, to someone. But that took a lot of reps. I certainly wouldn't have expected I would have ended up with the comfort level I have now talking. But that just comes from reps, and so anybody can do that over time. Just take videos of you, your team, happy clients, your truck at different points in Tucson when you stop and take pictures and whatnot. But take video, use that video on your business profile, use it on Instagram, use it on Facebook, use it on your website, put it on YouTube, answer questions that people have. Video is something that is going to be harder to replicate as we move into AI. You can do a lot of AI videos as well, but there's just something there that is still an X factor that not a lot of people are doing that you can use to your advantage.
So you probably noticed that I was doing video. I'll sit there, I'll be up my truck or wherever, and I go, "Hey, this is Gary. We're at a
Yes,
storage unit, whatever." And I make it like anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds. I don't want to be like this long thing, but is that a good thing to do?
great thing to do. Yeah. And then if you can think about while you're doing those short videos too, like think about the things that you tell the storage unit owner when you're pitching your services to them. Take that and turn it into a question and then answer it. So like for a realtor, a common question is like, can you do same day service? Like when we've got really tight closing, can you do that? Turn that into a video and answer that question. Then you can put that on your real estate centric service page on your website. You can put that on YouTube. You can put that everywhere. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and then like sprinkle in some of
Well, I
those,
like that
answering
actually.
questions as well.
which bodes one last thing is when you're doing your Facebook stuff, I see a lot of people put political or crass or things that aren't norm. Is that a plus or is it a negative or is it a wash?
I think it depends what you're trying to do. I see a lot of people use their social media can be an incredibly powerful tool for your business. You should be connecting with realtors, you should be connecting with property managers on your personal Facebook, on your LinkedIn. And if you're just using it as a so I have my political views. You'll see them come up slightly in my stories sometimes. I do that somewhat to attract a certain clientele because most of my clients that I like working with have similar views to me. I don't think that applies quite as much to a drunk removal business owner. You want to, within reason, basically have everybody see what you do and want to work with you.
Yeah,
As an
you're
agent,
actually attracting a certain type of person. You're
yes,
entrepreneurs. You're looking, and they are going to think a certain way. But as a junk removal, Lewis,
I would
I
keep
want
I would keep your
everybody's
politics to a
money.
minimum. Yeah, exactly.
I don't care if they're on the right, center, or the left, or up or down. I'm going to service them all beautifully, give them great, but I don't want to piss any of them off. I
So I
really
think I
want
think some
their
people
business.
do it very wrong. For me, it's an agency relationship is a bit more intimate, and so I do want to push away some people.
Yep.
Some people make it very easy for me how they talk about women, how they talk about their families and politics and whatnot. Some people make it easy, and I'm just like, cool. You're not going to be an ideal client. We're just not going to get along. Our personalities have to match. I don't really care what your beliefs are, but typically your beliefs are going to be somewhat similar to mine, based on personalities. So
Yeah.
that is what it is. And if you want to only work with those people in drunk removal, continue being yourself. I mean, you need to be yourself, but you need to filter some things too. I filter a lot of stuff that I could say on social media as well,
Absolutely.
and I
It's
think you
just
should.
it's important. Not everything needs to be heard. You don't have to do your laundry in public to wear clean clothes. That's
That's a great way to put it. I'm gonna
yeah.
comment that on a few reels as I see them.
It's just, I mean, it's just the way it is. I really want to thank you for taking time. I know I've been late in doing this, and thank you for your technical help too. I really appreciate you taking the time and doing this with me.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, Gary. You've been a great supporter. I've enjoyed watching you and how you operate and interact, and appreciate having a chance to chat again.
All right. Well, hope we'll see you next time.
All right, talk